of those, because all of those can have ill effects on down the road. So you have to really watch that. We've experienced that. We've bought a few of the 5.4 liter Ford heads that somebody's beat blasted. You buy the head, you put it on, and boy, the problem is just getting all of the stuff out of there and getting it totally cleaned out is extremely extremely difficult. It really is. It's almost impossible to Jay's point. So yeah, be really really careful when you do that. So again, 303-477-5600 is our phone number. We'd love to chat with you. We got our YouTube feed back up and running. I don't know. I had to just start another one, so I don't know. Something happened to the first one, so I started a second one. So it's up. If you want to go see us, go view it. I'll try to throw the link up on YouTube, or sorry, up on Facebook here in a minute. And at any rate, 303-477-5600 is our phone number. Guys, we didn't talk much so far this hour. We've had a lot of phone calls on the trailering side of the fence. Throw some thought outs to folks. We talked about tires. Probably should finish up with that. We didn't really delve into what the differences in tires are. Do you guys want to talk about that for just a second?
Well, the biggest thing that I look for is sidewall strength.
Especially on a tandem axle trailer, that's really important.
Yeah, like you were talking about on your P-rated passenger tires, you're not going to have any sidewall strength.
Well, especially on a tandem axle trailer. I've seen many just standard passenger car radials on a tandem axle trailer, and when you watch one go around a corner, you can literally see the tire trying to come off of the bead of the wheel, and it's just not a safe scenario.
No, and they're hard on belts, when you do that, so you can actually break belts inside of the tire, or separate belts. I should say. You're not going to break them, but you can cause separation. I've seen a lot of things happen with trailer tires where you're trying to skimp by and use a P series or even an LT series tire on a big trailer when you ought to be using an actual trailer tire. So that's one thing. Okay, Dorsey, you talked for a moment earlier about as we were coming on air about typically you see the wrong thing towing the wrong trailer.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a second. There's going to be some folks that are out probably thinking, well, hey, if we had a camper trailer, or we had this or that, or I had a little utility trailer, I could go to the dump with my loads and this, that, and the other. What's a rule of thumb as to what you should buy for a trailer versus what you're driving as far as a car or truck is concerned? Or is there one?
Yeah, there's a basic rule of thumb. You got to know what your dry weight is on your trailer, what you're going to be pulling, what your GVW is, and then match it up to your tow vehicle.
Okay.
And make sure that you've got enough tongue weight, GVW weight, that you're not going to be swapping ends with it and jackknifing and stuff like that. So you really want to make sure that your tow vehicle's capable of getting it started, stabilizing it, and getting it stopped. Craig
Absolutely.
Can add to that.
Well, obviously, my favorite thing to see going down the highway is a short wheelbase vehicle, a Jeep, for instance, pulling a boat potentially that is twice the Jeep's length. I'm sure it's very maneuverable, but simple fact of the matter is that if you had to make an emergency stop, it would not be pretty.
All right. Yeah, so you've got to have some good wheelbase to establish what you're doing, especially if it's a bumper pull.
Right.
That's going to make a big difference over a gooseneck or a fifth wheel pull.
Yeah, and one of the things that I used to recommend to people, of course, I was in that industry forever, and in fact, Craig was with me for a long time. We did that for I did it for 27 years. Craig was with me for a very, very long time, and the rule of thumb we used to tell people is if you're looking at a trailer that's 5,000 to 6,000 pounds minimum. That's without loading all your junk into it, by the way, because if you go look at a trailer and you look at dry weight and it says 5,000 pounds, well, by the time you get all of your clothing and luggage and food and propane and water and all the rest of the stuff, you can figure 1,000 pounds pretty easy. It doesn't take long. So at least 500 pounds, but I always figured 1,000 pounds. And because you got everybody throws bicycles, and you've seen it. Everything goes into the camper. It's just the way everybody does it. So the reality is, it's going to weigh 6,000 pounds when you're done. And here's the deal. Even though a lot of the half-ton, what I would call the light-duty trucks, SUVs, are rated to tow that much weight, that's a lot of weight going down a mountain pass behind a half-ton Yukon, Tahoe, Tundra, and I know all of them are rated to tow that, but that's a lot of weight for those vehicles. Just being honest,
even if
guys.
you don't have to hit the brakes very hard, if you're going up the hill trying to pull that kind of weight, that truck or SUV is going to be struggling.
That's exactly right.
A lot of people look at the GVW of their tow vehicle and think, well, it's an 8,500 GVW, so I can pull something that's 12,000 or 13,000 pounds. But the GVW of your tow vehicle is not what it really weighs.
That's right.
The curb weight is what it really weighs. It may be 5,600 pounds curb weight.
That's exactly right. So, again, I mean, this is a topic. We'll continue to talk about it even through the next few weeks as we can. The main thing is, if you've got a question, by all means, contact one of our facilities. I don't know of a owner-operator in our Colorado Select group that hasn't had experience towing something. I know all these guys personally. They've all owned something where they've towed something or had experience towing something, been around it, etc. They know where some of those limitations are. And to Craig's point, you know, a Jeep Wrangler towing a camper trailer doesn't mix.
Yeah,
a Jeep Wrangler hauling anything more than a small utility trailer doesn't mix.
Right. We work on the brake systems of those tow vehicles all the time, and we see
guys, we got to run. Sorry,
so.
Zach, I know we're up against the top of the hour here for the news. Don't go away. Paul from Parker, stay with us. You've got a question on a new car purchase. I'd love to take it. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Hang with us through the news. I'm your host, John Rush, Drive Radio, AM 560, The Source.
You still haven't had enough of Gearheads? Go to GearheadRadio.com. Email your questions and comments, download podcasts of previous shows, and find lots of other useful information. It's GearheadRadio.com. Thanks for listening to KLZ AM 560, The Source.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hi, I'm Jervis DeChico, partner and financial advisor at the Spectrum Planning Group and host of The Wealth Map. Tune in to The Wealth Map every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on KLZ 560 to learn how you can navigate risk and opportunity like a pro and map a course to your financial goals. Registered with and offers securities through Kovac Securities, advisory services through Kovac Advisors. The Spectrum Planning Group not affiliated with Kovac Securities or Kovac Advisors.
This is the legendary KLZ, AM 560, KLZ HD Denver, and online streaming at 560thesource.com. Since 1922, KLZ Denver.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Brad James. Jewish students targeted at NYU. New York University investigating flyers marked eviction notice from a pro-Palestinian group. The group's leaders said they slipped more than 2,000 flyers under the doors at the university's two largest dormitories to heighten awareness of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Laura Atkins, the vice president of the university's pro-Israel student group, speaking on Fox News with Greta Reacts.
It says that Israel is trying to ethnically cleanse the region, is trying to make the region exclusively Jewish. This paints the state of Israel and Jewish students in a very negative light. SJP publicly states that they don't believe the state of Israel has the right to exist, and this is quite simply an attack on our community.
NYU spokesman John Beckman saying the university encourages free speech, but not when it's meant to simply provoke. This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
In the year 1791, Americans were guaranteed individual freedoms and a limited government. Today, those freedoms are disappearing. The government listens to your phone calls and scans your emails. That's why we've created 1791 Email. When you sign up for an account, you can rest assured that we won't invade your inbox or scan your emails. And with your 1791 Email account, you'll be letting everyone know that you believe in individual freedom. Find out more about 1791 Email at 1791.com and start sharing the spirit of America today.
You love The Blaze. You watch it, you listen to it, you blog it, and you surf it. Now you can read it in print. Go to theblazemagazine.com and sign up today, and we'll give you an issue absolutely free. Get 10 issues filled with exclusive content delivered directly to your home. All you have to do is go to theblazemagazine.com on your computer, sign up, and we'll give you a free issue. This offer is limited, so go to theblazemagazine.com now.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 The Source.
This is Drive Radio, Colorado's most respected, most listened to auto repair show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
Drive Radio is a production of the Colorado Select Auto Care Center.
This is the new Wagon Queen family truckster. This is a fine automobile, if you want my honest opinion.
And now, my friend, the first rule of Italian driving. What's behind me is not important.
ASE certified master mechanics Donnie Seifert and John Rush are standing by to answer your questions. No matter how simple or technical, these are the guys you need to talk to.
Now, here are your hosts, Donnie Seifert and John Rush with Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source and 560thesource.com.
Welcome back. I am your host, John Rush. Along with me today is Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops and Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West. Guys, thanks. Good first hour.
Thanks for having us.
2 more left. So if you haven't called in yet and you've got a question, we'd love to hear from you. 303-477-5600. We got some more topics that we want to talk about. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about trailer towing. We'll continue on with some of that as we have time, as the first hour showed. If you've got questions, you want them answered, that's what we're here for. We'd rather answer your questions than do the topics. We can do topics anytime, so by all means, let us know what they are. We'll take care of them, and we'll do topics whenever we have time to get to them. So I also wanted to talk today, if we get some time, about CVT transmissions. That was a carryover from last week. And also, do fuel additives that claim to save you money and or fuel-saving devices really work? And the answer is, in most cases, no, but we'll get into that if we have time. We'd love to hear from you, though. 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We've got great guests today that can actually do a fantastic job answering your questions. In fact, 2 of our guys I've known for a very, very long time today in studio with us answering questions. Not to take anything away from all the guests we've got. All of our members of Colorado Select Auto Care are highly knowledgeable, can answer questions. You can call them during the week. We just bring them in studio on the weekends where you can call in on Saturdays and talk directly. So it makes it part of what we do as a show. Let's go to Paul, who's next in Parker, has a question on a new car purchase. Paul, welcome.
Well, actually, it's just in general when buying used cars.
Okay.
One thing is I've noticed if you go on like Kelley Blue Book and you look there, and you go on Edmunds.com, there seems to be a huge difference in what they think the car's worth. And then the other thing is, you know, wherever you go, it seems like they give you a price for private seller and dealer. And to me, I don't see why it should make any difference, at least in Colorado. You're buying the vehicle as is. So why would it make any difference if it's from a dealer or a private seller as far as what the car's worth?
Because the dealer is a retail price, and I think the way they justify that is typically a dealer has gone through some sort of a reconditioning process with a used car. They've cleaned it up, they've detailed it, they typically have inspected it, they may have fixed a few things on the car. You are correct, it still is an as-is sale, whether it's a private party or a dealer. But also remember that the dealer has more cost involved in actually getting that car sold than the private party does, thereby that you're paying for that price.
Okay, well, like I said, okay, then why is there a difference from Kelley Blue Book, and then when you go to Edmunds, if you ever look a vehicle up what it's worth, there's a Huge difference.
That's a great, and that, by the way, that's a great question. It's a general question I need to answer for everybody out there listening, because there's three, well, there's more than three, but there's three main sources that folks can kind of go to figure out what a car is worth. Edmunds, of course, you just mentioned. KBB is where a lot of people go to. Unfortunately, when you go to sell your car, trade it in, or the bank looks at it, they don't look at either one of those. It's the NADA book they look at.
Oh, okay.
And that's totally different from those other two. And really, NADA is what really keeps the most up to date. That's a publication that I believe is printed either, it used to be printed monthly. It may be even printed more than that now, and I'm sure everything's done online, so it's probably even updated sooner than that, but used to be, and I think guys still carry around a printed version of that because it's really easier when you're out on a lot trying to appraise a car. There's a printed version of that, but those are updated very routinely, more so than even what Kelley Blue Book and Edmunds. And the differences between all three of those are, I think NADA does the best job of knowing where a geographical location is down to the zip code to know whether you can add value, take value away, what are the miles, etc., and that's where some of those differences come into play. And basically, what's the market doing on that particular month on that car, because that changes.
Yeah, okay.
For example, you're driving a big SUV, and today fuel prices are $3.10 a gallon. I'm just being hypothetical here. That's going to have a higher value than if in 2 weeks gas prices are $4 a gallon. And that's the things that NADA takes into consideration, where Kelley Blue Book and the others probably don't get as they probably can't react to that as quickly as NADA does.
Yeah.
And that's one of those discussions as we get Isaac back on, Isaac Bouchard from Preferred Auto Brokers. He's our new sponsor broker that we send everybody to. I'll get him on air here in the near future and have him answer some of that, because he'll know the exact answers to that stuff even better than I do.
Yeah, one other comment I just wanted to make is I would recommend when people buy a used car, even though if it's a dealer or a private seller, that they take the car and make, even though they get the paper that says it passes the emission test, I would take it over there again and see if it will pass.
Yeah, now keep in mind,
I bought a used car a while ago, and I don't know, I live on a rough road. Maybe the exhaust broke when I drove it on that, but after I got the car home and was able to look it out, a whole lot better, I noticed the exhaust was leaking, and I kind of think maybe we're back to where these guys get to know someone at this place, and they're willing to put a car through that may not pass when you take it.
You bring up a good point. There's no doubt that everybody knows somebody someplace, and there's always going to be a hole in some system that you can get by. And I don't care what EnviroTest is telling us, there's always a hole, because by human nature, something could potentially happen. That's just the way it works. And you bring up a great point. Now, also remember, though, that, and Dorsey probably knows this better than me, but what do you have, 45 or 60 days to use that to get plates, the emissions test?
It's 45.
45 days. So you have 45 days. So as long as you've got a paper with the VIN number of that vehicle, which, by the way, you need to make sure that matches also. Make sure the VIN number matches. As long as all that does, you can still get plates. But to your point, it's not a bad idea to run that through yourself, just to make sure there's nothing else that's popped up, and go run it through on your own time, so you know for sure what's going on.
Right, and that way, if it doesn't pass, you can take the car back and say, well, it's either $500 less, or you give me the car. I don't want the car,
Right. Yeah, and again, make sure everybody understands this. By law, the seller has to provide that.
Yeah.
And on a dealer sale, they're bound to making sure that that's there with the paperwork when you go to buy the car. And don't accept a voucher. Don't go through all that nonsense. Make sure they're giving you an actual e-test. Now,
right, but what I'm saying is take it over there again, even if you have that paper.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
That's what I'm going to do the next time.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you, Paul.
I mean, I'm not unhappy with the car. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, great tip.
I think even though this is more controlled, there's still the buddy system.
Oh, there's still holes. That's always going to be around. You're 100% correct. Yep, great point.
Okay, goodbye.
Great point, Paul. Appreciate it. And yeah, guys, there's always a hole in every system. I don't care how tight you make it.
Usually you're pretty safe if you get a current valid emission test and it has passed. The coupon thing, I don't care for.
I don't care for either, so no.
Because then you're always up against the selling party.
Yeah, you're bound to whatever that I mean, you're not really guaranteed a pass with a coupon. You're guaranteed a test, but you're not guaranteed a pass out of that test. So to your point, and to Paul's point, it's worth making sure that you actually have that in hand. I'm not going to argue that. I think that's a great idea. All right, guys, we can take some calls. 303-477-5600 lines are open. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Next week, I'll make a couple announcements real quick before we go to the break. We've got a car show and an open house. It's over at Front Range Community College. I talked about that during the first hour, but if you're interested in the trades, it doesn't matter whether it's the automotive program, the welding program, the beauty salon program, what am I missing, guys? There's accounting programs.
Do they have an auto body program over
I believe they do. I'll know that for sure next week.
Not too sure about the auto body. It takes a lot more room. I heard something about they were working on it.
And I don't know that for positive. And we're talking, just the automotive side, but there's many other trades, quote unquote, that Front Range can help you with. Like I said, again, from journalism to just regular general education, English, writing, all those sorts of things are there. In fact, some of the trades require some of those things, so I know that those classes are there. And in some cases, you may just want to go over there and pick up a class to fill in, to get a degree. Maybe you're trying to do a degree at night. That's the place to go, especially in the north end of town. And they actually have campuses. I believe they've got Westminster, Boulder, and I believe Fort Collins. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they have 3 different campuses that are all part of the Front Range system. Again, come out to the remote next week. We're going to be there. We'll be live from 10 until 1, just like we are on air. We'll actually get there a little early. We'll have some giveaways. It'll be a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing the remotes. That they're fun. You guys come out, see us. If you've got a car and you want to enter it into the car show, call Gary Crayan, Cryan, at 303-404-5381. No entry fee. All the benefits of everything they're doing go to the automotive section, but the open house is for the entire campus. So come by there. Say hi. If you're out in that neck of the woods, we'd love to see you. I'll entice you a little bit. I just got about 80-some Drive Radio ball caps. Now, here's the deal. I'm not going to give those away to everybody that walks up. You need to be listening, and I'll have different times next week on top of right now. But if you're listening now, you show up next week and say, hey, John, I heard you had ball caps. Guess what? We'll give you one because I know you're listening. They're nice ball caps. These aren't some cheesy 2-bit, $2 ball cap. These are nice, high-quality hats. You'll be able to wear them for a long time. They cost us a little bit of money. We invested a little bit of money to have a nice, high-quality hat. And here's the other rule. Don't go hang it in the closet. You have to wear it.
Yeah.
Okay? I want some advertisement value out of giving you a ball cap. I know how some of these things work. I know a lot of them end up in a rack someplace in the closet and you never wear them again. I don't want to give it to you if that's what you're going to do. I want you wearing it. Make sense? Fair enough, guys?
That's the way it works.
Okay, so come out and see us next week. I believe we still have some other T-shirts and other giveaways and different things that we'll have. But anyways, come out and see us. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to go to a quick break. Don and Centennial, don't go away. We're going to come right back. We've got lines open, 303-477-5600. And again, John Rush, Craig Wallace, Dorsey Johnson, AM 560, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at ginosautoservice.com. That's ginosautoservice.com.
Your car performs better when things are simple, and it's easy to see how the maze of plumbing under the hood can slow it down. A K&N AirTake system replaces the maze with a single custom engineered tube. The result? A guaranteed increase in horsepower, a dramatic increase you can actually feel. Visit K&N website to look up the extra horsepower available for your vehicle. K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
Most dealerships offer a standard 1-year, 12,000-mile warranty on repairs. Get your car fixed by a Colorado Select Auto Care Center, and they will triple that warranty. 3 years, 36,000 miles on every repair, which is roughly 1.5 trips around the planet. Now, maybe you're not planning a trip like that, but every time you get in your car, you should expect it to get you where you're going. Find the Colorado Select Auto Care Center nearest you at coloradoselect.org. Around the world and back, coloradoselect.org.
All right, and welcome back. Appreciate you guys listening very much. We have a line open, 303-477-5600. We'd love to hear from you. And again, visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Drive Radio. Also visit our YouTube channel, and that's just a straight Drive Radio. If you go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Drive Radio, all one word. We are now at the top of the search list. When you go to Google's YouTube section, you can find us there. We've got all of our car reviews, a bunch of interviews from K&N. I did some interviews this last week with, did one 2 weeks ago with Toyota, one this last week with Kia. Those are all up on our website, on our podcast, drive-radio.com. So we're trying to feed you as much information as you possibly can. You know, we want to be kind of your go-to folks when it comes to what you need to do for your own vehicle. So by all means, use those tools we've got. A lot of volunteers put in a lot of time to make all of that stuff work, so use it and let us know if you want us to put anything else up, and we'll do our best to do so. Don and Centennial, welcome.
Good morning, sir. How are you this
Doing
morning?
very well. Thanks for calling us.
I'm one of Isaac's coworkers, and I just
great.
thought I'd try to help with a few.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Thanks for calling in, Don.
You're welcome, sir. I'm 57 years old, been in the car business one way or the other almost my entire life. What I've always been told is that the difference in the guides has to do with your location.
Okay.
California seems to use Kelley Blue Book.
Okay.
There's something called the Black Book. Apparently that's a big Florida deal.
Okay, never heard of that one. Interesting. Okay.
But in Colorado, it's the Yellow Book.
Yep.
Excuse me, which is NADA.
The NADA book. Yep, got it.
It's available online for anybody.
That's the one I grew up with.
There's a lot of dealerships that don't even carry the books anymore because
it's all online.
Available online.
Got it.
And there is apparently a different site that you can subscribe to as a dealer, but I don't know anybody that subscribes to it.
Really? Because you can get enough information for free that you don't need to?
Right. Because, again, the key word is guide, not Bible.
Right, right.
And, you know, you just have to use it as a pricing guide.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, and Don, you know this, and I appreciate you calling in, but really at the end of the day, it still is what's that car's value? You know, what are cars like at bringing today? And that's what you guys use a lot on your side of the fence to determine values, correct?
Correct, and it's certainly just one of the tools.
Right.
But dealers do things a little differently that's in the book. Then, you know, the book will have a deduction for high miles.
Okay.
And most dealers will double whatever that number is because in the real world that seems to be more realistic than what NADA says.
Okay. Do they do the same if it's low miles? Do they add twice the value, or do they just nick it if it's a high mile?
The book seems to be accurate on the low miles.
Okay.
It's just on the high miles that there seems to be some discrepancy.
Got it.
Plus, it'll need, you know, more reconditioning and everything else.
Right. That's good tips.
And in regards to the emissions test, I personally take every car that I work with through the emissions test line myself.
Got it.
And I can tell you, I don't think I've been there 3 times in a row and seen the same guy.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good to know.
Turnover,
So they must rotate. Do they have turnover? Or do they rotate the guys around from station to station? Dorsey, you may know that better than anybody.
I see them move around from station to station.
And that probably keeps some of what we were referring to either from happening. Probably helps keep some of those holes sewn up a little better.
Lanes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
I typically use the station in Parker,
Okay.
and the turnover is, you know, it's worse than it is at a McDonald's or a 7-Eleven.
I think they have an issue with that too. They always have a help wanted sign out front.
Interesting.
Right.
Well, it's definitely not, just so everybody out there listening knows, it's not the highest paying job out there. You can probably go to McDonald's and make about the same wage.
Yeah.
Probably more.
And maybe more. Yeah, to your point, Don, maybe more. That's exactly right.
So, hey, I just
good
wanted
points.
to chime in with those.
Hey, I appreciate that. I'm glad you called in. I appreciate it very much. And nice meeting you over the phone, Don. We're going to have a good relationship, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
My pleasure. This
All right.
is Mr. Rush, correct?
I am John Rush. Yep, thank you.
Mr. Rush, my pleasure.
Appreciate it very much, Don. Take care. Mr. Rush is my dad, by the way, so I'm just John Rush. I get some people that call me Mr. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, I'm not. I know I'm getting up there, but every time I hear Mr., I think, man, I'm getting old. But anyways, thanks, Don. We appreciate the call very much. One line open, 303-477-5600. Terry, you're up next. What's going on today?
Hello?
Hello, Terry.
Yeah, I had a tire blow out on my boat trailer last year, right before I put it away, and it took out a brake line.
Okay.
It's the hydraulic trailer with
surge
the little
brakes
thing on the tongue.
Yep. Those are called surge brakes, by the way, for everybody listening. And real quick, the reason why boat trailers use surge brakes is because the electronics that are the electric type magnets that are in a regular type of a trailer brake just won't last when you put them in and out of the water all the time. That's why a boat trailer uses what we call a surge brake, which is a hydraulic master cylinder driven brake, just like what's on your car.
Well, can you recommend a place I can take it to get that brake line fixed that will allow me to leave the boat on the trailer?
I don't know why any one of our Colorado Select facilities wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would.
You should be able to leave it on the trailer.
If you're in Morrison, you could either go down to Geno's in Littleton or Four Seasons over in Lakewood, and either one of those guys could help you out.
Okay, I'll give you a
that's
call.
not hard to do at all, Terry. That's great. In fact, just so you and everybody else listening knows, there's some new lines out that Napa makes. What's the brand name?
Armor Flex lines.
Armor Flex lines are really easy to bend. For your application, you'll spend a little bit more money for the line, Terry, but that'd be the way to replace that.
Okay.
Okay, Terry. Appreciate the phone call. Line open, 303-477-5600. Let's go to Alan, who's next in Monument. Alan, welcome to Drive Radio.
Oh, hey, John. Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Good. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah, I know you want to talk about fuel additives and oil additives and whatnot. And I've always had a nagging question about seafoam. And, you know, I've read online about how people tend to use seafoam in, like, multiple areas of the engine, not just in the gas, but also in the oil, but also, like, in, you know, different parts of the, you know, off the heads in different areas. And I'm always curious what professionals thought about the use of that product, and is there really even a good use of the product?
Go ahead, Dorsey.
I think it's a really good product. It depends on exactly what you're going to use it for. And it does allow multiple use, like the fuel treatment you can put in a crankcase for oil system cleanup. I've used it for both if I have a problem that I'm trying to address. And we've pulled injectors and filled cylinders with it and let it foam and soak overnight to remove carbon and stuff like that. But it's a pretty good cleaning
They make a good product, yeah. Yep. Now, real quick, I just want to make sure everybody listening understands. We don't ever advocate, you know, additives, as in seafoam, to be any kind of a fuel mileage gainer. Typically, we're using those to do maintenance, you know, injector cleaning, fuel system cleaning, and in the case Dorsey just talked about, crankcase cleaning, things like that. That's typically what we're using them for, not to gain fuel mileage.
Yeah, and that's the application I would be using it for as well. I've got a vehicle right now that's only got, you know, 65,000 miles on it, and I was, you know, thinking maybe around the 100,000 mile range of doing something like that, you know, just to kind of be more preventative than anything else.
Yeah, it just depends on the type of motor you're working on and that kind of thing too, as to how you approach it and what you're going to do with it.
Now, what the big thing that people like to see out of the seafoam when they're using it inside the engine itself is that big cloud of white smoke out the back. You'll see a lot of YouTube videos with that. And I've always wondered, is that really actually proving that the product is working, or is that really just the product burning off?
It's a combination of the two.
Yeah, it is kind of a combination of two. And typically what you see when they're doing that is they're usually inducing the fluid into a vacuum hose, into a vacuum line tap that they've created, and pouring it into the air intake. And then you get that huge cloud out the back. And that's not typically the way we use it. Sometimes we'll use it like that for like a top-end cleaner, like GM uses their top-end cleaner, but more often than not with us, we're using it when we are soaking a cylinder, sometimes as a fuel maintainer, and when we're laying fuel up for a month or two, a cleaner, like that. And we have a machine that we use if we want to do a top-end cleaning, so it's kind of a different theory than what you're seeing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a real valid purpose, but you have to have a real good specific reason to really go for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
In that type of an application of what you're seeing on YouTube, now if you're just going to put Seafoam in the gas tank and let it do its thing, or 44K, those types of products, those are maintenance products, and you're not going to see anything coming out the tailpipe at all.
Yeah, and to that point, I have used 44K extensively in the past on older vehicles. But is it really something between that and Seafoam? And really, now we're kind of talking about fuel additives, what is your preferred or best fuel additive for cleaning purposes, of course, that you guys would recommend?
Just for maintenance, I'm a little more partial to 44K.
Especially if you're talking about decarboning, looking at maintaining injectors, things along those lines, I tend to agree with Dorsey on that. Now, Seafoam will make the same claims, but we've all just been around the industry long enough to know that I still think 44K is a little bit more volatile product, is probably the best way to say that.
Excellent. Well, that's those are the two questions I had. And
all right.
You guys follow up on that.
We appreciate it very much. Thanks for the phone call. We're up against a break. I'm your host, John Rush, with Craig Wallace, Dorsey Johnson, and you're listening to Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto sees a need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ASE certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Have you ever wished there was a place you could take your car, put it on a lift, and work on it yourself? My name is Craig Wallace, owner of DIY Auto Repair Shops. We have the lift, the tools, and the expertise. We offer a multi-tier program that allows you to do it yourself, technically assisted, or we can fix it for you. Check us out online at DIYAutoRepairShops.com or give us a call at 303-429-4000. Again, that's 303-429-4000. Let us know you heard about DIY on Drive Radio, and you'll receive 50% off your first DIY hour. We look forward to helping you succeed repairing and maintaining your car.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment, or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Drive Radio. I'm your host, John Rush. Appreciate you listening in. Let's go to Dan real quick. By the way, I got 2 lines open, 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. Dan, welcome. What's going on today?
Hello.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, I've got a question about the new laws on the collector's plates.
Okay, what do you got?
You know, I've got an old collector. It's in storage right now.
Okay.
But I haven't renewed it for over a year. Now, is that still grandfathered in, or
What year vehicle is it?
It's a 72.
The 72 is still considered a true collector. You could go in, pay your 5 years in advance, sign an affidavit saying you're not going to drive it more than 4,500 miles a year, and still get collector plates.
Okay. Now, when does that law take effect? Next year?
As far as what?
Getting emissions test on it, everything?
You're not going to do an emissions test on 75 and earlier.
Yeah, the emissions laws in general change next year on January 1, but it doesn't change for collector plates.
Right.
Nothing changes there.
I actually heard that they weren't going to actually issue any more collector plates.
No, not true. In fact, legislation was just redone a couple of years ago, and what you see now is, until they pass other legislation, that's what it is.
They are going to still issue them then?
Yes, I've not heard anything, and I've not heard one thing saying that's going to change. And honestly, they've got enough things right now on the legislative plate in this state that I'm guessing that's not even on anybody's radar right now.
Well, that's good news. Okay, great. Then I can just go down there and just renew my plates with no problems then.
You sure can, yeah. So for folks listening, if you drive a vehicle that's 75 and older, and you want collector's plates, again, you have to sign an affidavit that you're not going to drive it over 4,500 miles. I don't know, the odometer police, I doubt it's going to show up to the Craig was talking about.
I've yet to see them.
I don't think they're going to show up at your front door checking, but you sign an affidavit saying you're not going to drive it more than 4,500 miles a year. There's no emissions test required. The catch is you have to pay the full 5-year registration at the time you buy the plates.
Right.
That's the downside.
Well, that's a pretty good deal, though.
But it's a good deal. Yeah,
I think
really
it's like $187 for 5 years.
Yeah, typically for the old cars, it's very inexpensive, and it's a good law, by the way. There were folks in our organization here that had a lot to do with getting this new law passed, and the Old Car Council, et cetera, and it's written very well. And it kind of excluded, didn't say kind of, it did exclude some of the 76-year and later vehicles that were actually a part of that. They've allowed those folks to be grandfathered in until the vehicle actually sells again. But for 75 and older, which typically is really the true collector's cars anyways, it works out really well.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for your help.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, that's something we don't talk a lot about, because that's not a huge portion of our of our listenership, guys, is people driving 75 and older vehicles. And most people that are, pretty much know what's going on. And by the way, you can find all of that information out. And there's actually, to our state's credit, if you go to the Colorado.gov and then go to the Department of Revenue website, every type of license plate issued in the state is listed there with all of the descriptions as to what that entails. Everything from, we call them vanity plates, they're listed there, to you name it. They are all listed on there, to, what you have to have if you're a tow truck, to, fleet plates, to all of the specialty plates that there are. And by the way, there's a bunch. I don't know if any of you really realize how many specialty plates there are, but there are a bunch of them. Different organizations, and in some cases you have to make a donation to the organization to be allowed to run that plate and show proof of a donation, which, by the way, that's fine, all that's there. But a lot of cool things. I mean, one of the nice things about it, and it's a revenue generator, there's no doubt about it, but the nice thing about it is it gives you some freedom where you don't have to just run the regular old green and white plate if you don't want to. And you can kind of doll up your old car if you want to and do different things with it, and it's a lot of fun. So fortunately, Colorado has allowed all that to happen, and there's a lot of different plate options. But again, those are all on the Department of Revenue's website. You can view them there. All of the stipulations about it are there, and there's 2 different types of collector plates, by the way. Regular vehicle collector plates, and then they also have a truck tractor collector plate, which is kind of cool. So if your vehicle actually fits that description, that's kind of a cool thing. So anyways, a lot of cool things that kind of make those old cars fun and make it a lot of fun. So anyways, let's go to Greg real quick, who's in Franktown. Greg, welcome. What's going on today?
Yeah, I just was listening to you about the collector plates, and I know a lot of people don't even know about the horseless carriage plate.
Yeah, in fact, I was just looking at that right here on the site. So go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, any 1964 and earlier car can get those plates, and they're like $13 for 5 years.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to go. You just and I think even the 65s are eligible now because they're.
That's right. It's any vehicle that's over 50 years of older from the date of registration. So yeah, so that's in fact I knew that, but I'd kind of forgotten that. So that really makes driving those old cars even that much more fun.
Right. Yeah, and I know it's just I just went through the county and just turn in your title and then don't get plates and then you send it into the state and then pay the fee and then the plates came from Canyon City. I guess they printed them up in the correctional facility there and came in 2 weeks.
Very cool. So, that's awesome. Very good. Great information. Appreciate it. Yeah, and again, as I said earlier, that's part of what I got to credit Colorado. They've made some of that a lot of fun, and I don't know that if every state has those same type of plates and different things, but it makes it a lot of fun for some of those old cars and makes it easy to keep an old car running and make it a lot of fun, and it becomes a hobby, which is what it is, and it ought to be that way.
Yeah, for $15, $20 for 5 years registration, you can't beat it.
That's very cool. Good deal. Thanks for calling in, Greg. We appreciate it very much. Yeah, so again, go to your DMV website. One other tip we should make, and something just triggered this in my mind, which I hadn't thought about. When you go search DMV stuff on Google or Bing or anybody else, be careful what site you end up landing on to find out certain information, because there are some what I call clone sites where the information there you get charged for. And my wife and I experienced this many years ago. She was looking for something, didn't really know she wasn't on the DMV website in the first place, ended up paying, I don't know, $13 or $14 for some form that was free on the other site, by the way. But if you're not careful and you don't notice it, now, fortunately, I'll give the other site credit once we found out what it was and called in and said, listen, we didn't really want that. We want our money back, etc. They were kind enough to give all the money back, but it was a pain in the neck. So my point is, if you're going and looking for something, just be really careful. I think this had to do with her renewing her driver's license, which you can now do all online, by the way. Right. Just be careful what site you end up at, because in some cases you may pay a fee you didn't need to pay in the first place, and it may not get you any further than you were initially. So just a tip, watch that. All of that stuff now can be done online, and they've made that part of it actually very, much more simple. So, all right, guys, real quick. We talked earlier about trailers, and I'm going to leave that more for some of the first hour stuff because it really applies more to our first hour listeners anyways. The biggest thing there is just make sure you're using the right vehicle to tow with. When you go to hook everything up it's being done correctly. And what I mean by that is, and this is just a quick tip, those of you that maybe have never towed a trailer before, or even you're going to do maybe a rental trailer, crisscross your safety chains. That's the law, technically. You don't just take a chain that's on the right and go to the right side and a chain on the left and go to the left side. No, left goes to right, right goes to left. The idea being you want to saddle underneath that tongue of the trailer so if something comes apart, it rests down in that cradle and just doesn't fall straight to the ground and get dragged along by the chains. That's the idea between crisscrossing the chains. Make sure the ball is all done correctly and you've got the right size for the trailer and the right height. And here's another rule of thumb. If you're hauling especially a little bit heavier trailer, you want the tongue height to be a little bit higher initially so that when you get everything loaded on, it's level. You don't want to be going down the road nose high, but you also don't want to be going down the road nose low on the trailer, right, guys?
Better low than high.
Better low than high, but level is ideal. If you can really get it dialed in and make sure things are correct, you really want it level. And in some cases, some of you guys that are hauling equipment and cars and so on, that can be adjusted by where the load on the trailer is positioned. So watch that. Be really careful. There's good information, by the way, on most of the trailer hitch manufacturers' websites as to how to do all of this stuff correctly, where weight distribution needs to be, so on and so forth. So again, yeah, you want to make sure that the last thing you want is the trailer whipping around behind you because that causes lots of problems. And by the way, lastly, you don't want to try to outrun that problem.
No.
I've seen guys try to go faster to try to get that whipping out of the way, and typically that doesn't work real well.
Usually gets worse.
Yeah. What you really want in that case is good trailer brakes. You want to be able to tap that brake, straighten out the vehicle. But again, there's lots of devices on the market that can actually help with sway control and all those different things. We can talk more about that in the future, but Anyways, we want to hear from you. The lines are open. I don't say that enough here in this middle hour, 303-477-5600. We got about 15 minutes left of this second hour. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know, 303-477-5600, whatever call or whatever question you've got. I know it's really, really nice outside right now, and I know tomorrow is not supposed to be so nice outside, so I'm sure a lot of you are out enjoying the great spring weather that we're having, getting some of the yard work done, etc. And I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this or not, lately, but we have a lot more dandelions and weeds this year than last year.
Absolutely do.
Anybody want to know why?
Yes.
Flood.
That would make sense.
Last year's floods stirred up and created and spread around a lot more seeds that are, of course, now germinating and opening up and growing and so on. And so the floods from last year is what's now creating a lot of the extra weeds that we now see that you typically don't see this time of year. We always have weeds this time of year, don't get me wrong, but the floods stirred up a lot of sediment and things that, we just didn't, it was a 100-year flood last year, so that's where a lot of that came from. So especially if you live in, lower lying areas or areas where there was a lot of water that washed in and out, a lot of debris, sand, dirt, etc., yes, you're going to have much more weeds. I'd be careful how I say it in Colorado. Wow.
What kind of weeds do you have?
I didn't want that to come out that way. So yeah, you get just if you live in a low-lying area, you're going to have more weeds, plural. We don't want to talk about the marijuana issue in this state, so that's for another topic for another day. Which, by the way, just as a side note, has anybody noticed how many more traffic, issues, etc. we've had since we've legalized marijuana? We can make a whole show out of this. I won't today, but you can all tell probably where I voted on that particular matter. And I'm one that says I don't think they've ever should have legalized it, but hey, to each his own. It is now, and we're dealing with it as a state. But has anybody noticed that we've had a lot more issues on the highways Absolutely. And state patrol and so on since they actually legalized it? So every pro there's a con, folks. All of you legislators that happen to listen to us, for every pro there's a con. So everything you pass that you think you're doing something good, there's a con associated with it. Let's take a quick break. Zach will come back. Larry's getting some lines lined out for us. 303-477-5600. Line open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. And I'm John Rush, your host, KLZ 560 The Source.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturn. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
How much does it cost you to drive to work? Would you be surprised to know that if you have a car payment and drive 5 miles or more each way, you're spending at least $7.50 a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year? You're looking at about $2,000 a year. Wow. There are ways to cut that number in half, and we can help you to keep your money in your pocket at Cipher Automotive. I will perform a cost per mile analysis for your maintenance and to show you how to save as much as $8,500 per year by simply making your vehicle last longer. Call or click today, CipherAuto.com or 303-422-5261.
Ah, summer. A time of fun, sun, high temperatures, and the ultimate family road trip. Before embarking on the ultimate family adventure, bring your vehicle over to Fort Collins 4x4 Center for a little TLC. Our summer maintenance inspection includes pressure testing your air conditioning system, checking your coolant levels and tire pressure, testing your battery, inspecting your hoses and belts for cracks, cuts, and bulges, testing your transmission, power steering, and brake fluids. Having your vehicle inspected before a long road trip can keep you on the road, not stuck beside it during your vacation. Fort Collins 4x4 is under new ownership as of January 2014. Stop by and see what's new. Located a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock, we are open to serve you Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30 p.m. with shuttle service and after-hours drop. Give us a call at 970-482-5500. Follow us on Facebook or check us out at FortCollins4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, Log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, welcome back, Drive Radio. I'm your host, John Rush. Appreciate everybody calling in. One line open is all 303-477-5600. We've got about 10 minutes or so left of this second hour. We're here till 1 o'clock, 10 to 1 every single Saturday. We're also rebroadcast on Sunday from noon to 2, the second 2 hours of our show. We podcast everything. It's up on our website, drive-radio.com. And as most of you have heard, we're also streaming now on YouTube, so you can actually watch us on YouTube also, and I'm watching that now, and we are up, and so yeah, you can actually get us several different ways now, and you can always watch the show later if you want to, but again, call us 303-477-5600, and I think Mariana is next in Pueblo. Welcome. What's going on today?
I've got a 1983 Toyota 4x4,
okay,
and it's got a manual transmission, 5-speed, and a 22R engine.
Okay.
Periodically, when I try to shift, it will stick in a gear. And I hate to force it. Sometimes I will force it a little bit and it'll pop out of it. But otherwise, I have to turn the engine off completely. And then when I restart the engine, then it shifts just fine.
Okay. You more than likely, guys, I'll let you chime in, but more than likely don't have a transmission problem. You probably have a clutch problem.
Oh.
Your clutch is going out is what I'm really trying to get at.
Or the pilot bearing starting to seize, or
something internally. Yeah, to Craig's point, could be a pilot bushing that's bad. I think those actually had bearings. A pilot bearing's bad, or it's not as greased as it should be and it's hanging up, or the disc is hanging up and the pressure plate's not moving as far as it should. Here's the bottom line. If you're going to be in there checking any of that anyways, just put a clutch in it.
Put it all in there.
Just do a kit, do the whole 9 yards. How many miles have been on it since the last clutch?
Golly, it's almost, I believe, 200,000.
It needs a clutch.
There's bearings in there
okay.
that were never designed to be there that long.
Yep. You're due, just even as a maintenance side of the fence, at 200K. If unless that's all highway miles and you haven't had to push the clutch in and out much, at that range, it's just, and what you're describing, your symptoms, it needs a clutch.
So you said a pressure plate, and that's
just put a whole kit in it. It'll have if you buy a kit, and every shop out there knows this, it'll have the throwout bearing, the pilot bearing, the pressure plate, the disc. It all comes in one kit. You put that in. Make sure you resurface the flywheel.
That might be hydraulic too.
True.
In that era.
83, I don't remember.
I'm sure it was hydraulic.
I'm thinking it is.
So that'd be worth looking at also.
With that age, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, and we don't have anybody in Pueblo, Mariana, but just find a good facility down there that you trust, somebody that you've used in the past, or get a good recommendation from your parts store down there, from your Napa store, and have somebody do a complete, clutch inspection and find out what's going on. But chances are the clutch is bad.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome, Mariana. Thanks for calling in, and shows you how far our signal goes. Yep. All the way to Pueblo. So
Don't sell that truck.
No, that's a great truck, yeah. And guys are looking for those trucks. So, Mariana, if you're still listening, keep that truck, keep it running. Line open, 303-477-5600. Call us. We'll get you right on air. Steve is calling in about a used Suburban. Welcome, Steve.
Hi there.
What can we do for you?
Well, I've been looking at buying a Suburban, but I didn't know what year would be good. I was looking at an older one, like say 2001 to 7 or something like that.
Well, what do you tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do with it, and how much money are you trying to spend?
As little as possible, like say $6,000 to $10,000. I tow a boat with it.
Okay.
Have a bunch of kids.
How big's your boat?
21 foot.
You're into a 3/4 ton.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're a 21-foot boat, I'd buy a 2500 series with the bigger engine. Depending upon what year you get, the 8 liters are hard to find. Some of the 7.4 liters are a little easier, but I would try to find a 3/4 ton if it were me.
Okay.
There's probably still some 98s out there, 99, that vintage.
Yeah, and honestly, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings to go back that old if you found one that was good and clean. And here's the trick: a lot of the 3/4 tons are actually cleaner than not all, but in general, they're typically cleaner than half-tons because they didn't get the miles on them the half-tons did. Because most of the time they were bought for a specific purpose, hauling a boat, camper, something along those lines.
Well, it passed everything but a gas station, too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not good on mileage, but for what you're trying to do, they work very well.
Okay. My cousin has one with a 5.3, and he pulls a boat that's actually bigger, and he's never had a problem, with it. Like I say, he just says he slows down a little bit when he runs into a hill or something like that.
Yeah, and my biggest fear on the Suburbans, on those bigger boats, isn't necessarily the power going up. It's what you have for braking, getting down, and getting that part of it handled. I mean, the Suburban itself, yes, is big enough, but your running gear, drivetrain, transmission, transfer case, rear differential, brakes, etc., they're basically just a half-ton truck on that Suburban is all they are. So just keep in mind, if you can get to a 3/4 ton, I'm not saying you have to, but if you can find a good clean one, you end up with much bigger brakes, much bigger differential, transmission is heavier, transfer case is heavier, frame is heavier, suspension is heavier. Your longevity in that and hauling that big of a boat would actually it'll just make it last longer.
Okay. But if I did go with the 5.3, is there a year that it would be as bad?
You know what? There's really none that are I would call bad. In fact, even in today's world, the new Suburbans they're all fantastic. I mean, that's a great vehicle. Has been for years. Craig knows this from my past. I've owned many a Suburban in my day. I had a large family with a lot of kids, and we drove Suburbans and excursions for a very, very long time. And I don't know that I would shy away from any of them. It really comes down to more in what you find, what's the value, how well has it been cared for. All of that comes into play more so than what year is it.
All right. Okay,
and what I mean by that is the pre 99 and older, where they're actually the older body style, those don't bother me a bit.
Okay. Then just look for something with lower miles and stuff.
Preferably, yeah, and typically on a Suburban, I mean, some families have used those things until the wheels are ready to fall off, and yeah, you have to be kind of careful on that. If you could find one in the low to mid, 100,000 mile range, that'd be a really good find, and that wouldn't bother me to buy one with 150K on it at all.
Okay. I'd actually been looking, like 120,000 or less.
Under 120?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find one, that's great. The problem is they're old enough, especially in the early 2000s. They're going to be old enough that if somebody drove them even, 7,000, 8,000 miles a year, they're going to have that kind of mileage on them.
Yep.
I mean, ideally, and we have a little time here before the news here. Ideally, if you could find one from an older gentleman, family that, they've maybe towed an RV around, et cetera, maybe they're at the point where they can't do it anymore and they're looking to sell it. There are some of those floating around that'll have 50,000, 60,000 miles on them, but you really got to look for them.
Okay.
And but they are out there. You just you'll pay a little more money. But your price range, by the way, I mean, if you paid $10,000 for one, you should be able to buy a really, really nice Suburban for $10,000.
Yeah, I've actually seen some really nice ones for right around $7,000.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. If your budget is at 6 to 10, you'll find many, many units to choose from in that range.
Okay.
Just make sure you get a pre-purchase inspection done.
You got it.
All right.
Yep.
We'll do that.
Yep. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Steve, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. Yeah, and by the way, and I don't know, Steve, if you're still listening, another vehicle, and I mentioned it real quick in just what I drove, the Excursions are great vehicles too, especially if you can find one of those with one of the older 7.3-liter diesel engines. Fantastic vehicle if you can find
Probably not
one.
going to be in the price range.
Probably not, although the Excursions are funny. They vary a lot in price depending upon, the time of the year and who's looking and, just kind of what's out there, et cetera. The 7.3s are tough to find just because they just bring more money.
Yep.
So, anyways, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-477-5600. Lines are open, by the way. We don't say that enough. I should. And by the way, our last hour is always the fullest with phone calls. Just the way it works. I don't know why. Things build up. I think a lot of you listen and finally figure that, well, if I'm going to ask a question, I better get it in now. And so everything fills up really heavily in the last hour. So if you want to call us, get a call in now. Call in early at the top of the hour. We'll get you right on, 303-477-5600. Quickly, I'll kind of throw out what we do for our car reviews now. You haven't heard me talk a lot about them in the recent weeks, partially due to the fact that we're doing all of those on YouTube. I'm also putting them on our website, but we're doing a full 8 to 12 minute video on YouTube of each car that I drive. It gives us a lot more time than what I have on air. Plus, I can get the camera, show you different things, show you different features, show you the body lines. It's just a little easier to do than it is here on air. So by all means, we haven't stopped doing new car reviews. Go look at our YouTube channel. Again, YouTube. Then in the search bar, just type in Drive Radio, all one word. I did a BMW not long ago that we put up. I just got done doing the RAV4. I just drove that vehicle last week and did a review on that, which, by the way, great little car. Toyota did a great job when they redid the RAV4, got rid of the spare tire on the back, put it down underneath. And the RAV4 has been, one of those smaller SUV staples for years. In fact, it's been mimicked by a lot of other people, including the Ford Edge and some of those other vehicles that have gone after that particular market. And the RAV4, great, it's a leader in the segment, great vehicle. But again, go look at those videos. They're all online on our YouTube channel. Just again, go to YouTube, type in Drive Radio. And if you want to watch our show, we're doing that live now. We're on air as we speak. We're on air on the radio, and we're on air on YouTube. And the YouTube thing still just fascinates me. It's just amazing to me that Google thought up a way to take all of this information coming in from millions, literally millions of sources. I might even be low on that. It might be in the billions. I have no idea. But there is gobs of information pouring into their servers on a regular basis. How in the world they keep all of that straight and stream it back to you at a decent rate, I'm clueless. A lot of brainiacs, have figured out a way to make all of that work. And then to be on air today, put a camera up in studio, drive that right to YouTube, within 7 or 8 seconds have it pop up on your end where you can see it. To me, that's just fascinating. So we're going to continue to use that technology. One other quick thing I wanted to mention, if you are a outdoorsman, hunter, you like those topics, sportsmansofcolorado.com. So it's sportmanofcolorado.com. Scott Watley, who's actually our connection with Haystack, Colorado, he does a show right here on KLZ, 7 to 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings. Tune in to Scott. Great guy, great show. I know it's early, but a lot of you guys are up early anyway, so he's got a lot of great things. And actually, we're going to try to partner up with Scott on some of the things that he does and keep doing things back and forth. Dorsey will enjoy that because he's the outdoorsman of our group big time. So
especially if you got a good place.
I'm going to hand Dorsey his card. So anyways, give us a call. We'll get you lined up for this next hour, 303-477-5600. Zach, take us to the news. I'm your host, John Rush, along with Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops, Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West. You're listening to Drive Radio, KLZ 560 The Source.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Legacy Wealth Designers employs a variety of specialized strategies to help pre- and post-retirees. Founder Brian Denton says the process starts in the first meeting.
When I work with a client, my goal is to understand them and their goals. Then we perform a comprehensive analysis to see how well their current financial situation is in line with what their goals are.
Listen to the Financial Safari with Brian Denton, now on Sunday mornings at 7 on KLZ 560 The Source.
This is the legendary KLZ, AM 560, KLZ HD Denver, and online streaming at 560thesource.com. Since 1922, KLZ Denver.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Ken Stevens. The Taliban claiming responsibility for today's helicopter crash that claimed the lives of 5 NATO troops. German Brigadier General Heinz Feldman, the coalition's military's chief spokesman in Afghanistan, saying, no doubt, Insurgents are doing everything they can to erode international support for Afghanistan by targeting foreign civilians.
We see that there is a threat, but it is equally important to stay committed.
More allegations that at least 40 veterans died waiting to get care at the Phoenix Veterans Administration Hospital, including Sally Barnes-Breen's father-in-law, Thomas Breen. Barnes-Breen's telling Fox's Megyn Kelly the 71-year-old Navy veteran was rushed to the hospital but was then sent home.
And they said, they will call you, or if they don't call you, but they will because I wrote urgency, then I stated I will be calling starting as soon as we come home.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
In the year 1791, Americans were guaranteed individual freedoms and a limited government. Today, those freedoms are disappearing. The government listens to your phone calls and scans your emails. That's why we've created 1791 Email. When you sign up for an account, you can rest assured that we won't invade your inbox or scan your emails. And with your 1791 Email account, you'll be letting everyone know that you believe in individual freedom. Find out more about 1791 Email at 1791.com and start sharing the spirit of America today.
You love The Blaze. You watch it, you listen to it, you blog it, and you surf it. Now you can read it in print. Go to theblazemagazine.com and sign up today, and we'll give you an issue absolutely free. Get 10 issues filled with exclusive content delivered directly to your home. All you have to do is go to theblazemagazine.com on your computer, sign up, and we'll give you a free issue. This offer is limited, so go to theblazemagazine.com now.
The Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560 The Source.
Got a question about your car?
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and a 4-barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question.
Watch this.
The Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Everything you ever needed to know about your car, but we're afraid to ask. Call now. Ask the ASE Certified Master Mechanics John Rush and Donnie Cipher. This is Hour 2 of Drive Radio, presented by the independently owned and operated members of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers, raising the standard for auto repair, diagnosis, and vehicle maintenance across the state. Find the Colorado Select Auto Care Center nearest you by visiting drive-radio.com. Now back to Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source and 560thesource.com.
All right, welcome back. And Drive Radio, I'm your host, John Rush, Craig Wallace from DIY Auto Repair Shops, and Dorsey Johnson from Arvada West, which, by the way, I should have highlighted these guys earlier. Dorsey's over in the Arvada area, of course, veteran to the show, been on many, many, many times, and you've heard even some of the callers call in and talk about Dorsey and their shop and all the things that they do. Craig Wallace, one of our new members to Colorado Select, he's over in the, you're in the Westminster area, though, more so than Arvada. Where are you at exactly?
Ultimately, 74th and Federal.
Okay. And Craig's got a little different approach to a repair shop. He's got kind of a 3-step approach to doing repair. Talk about that for just a second, and then announce the car show that we're going to be at next week while you're at it.
Really putting me on the spot.
Yes,
now.
I am.
DIY Auto Repair Shops is designed primarily for the do-it-yourselfer. 3 different tier store business model. You can come in and you can do it yourself. Obviously, we've got technicians on hand where we can give you an assistant, and also we can just do the work for you. I would encourage anybody to give us a call. I'm just going to give myself a shameless plug. 303-429-4000. Give us a call. You can get an appointment with us. Be happy to help you with any questions, concerns, or even get your car fixed.
Yep. And by the way, Craig, Dorsey, all of our Colorado Select facilities are listed on coloradoselect.com. You can use .com, .org, either one of those work. Just type that in, click on it. All of our centers are located there. You can find who's closest to you, and they're all adequate, or I shouldn't say adequate, more than adequate to take care of your needs. What I really was trying to get at is if you've got a question just to call in about, that's really what's going with what Craig said a second ago, call any of those guys up. They'll help you through whatever it is, walk you through it. You know, I know a lot of you wait until Saturday to call us and talk, which is fine. We like that. But by the way, these guys will do it all week long. That's what they're there for. So if you have a question, call them, talk to them. Dorsey's shaking his head because we do it all week long. So don't feel like you have to wait for a Saturday to call and ask us. So we're also going to be out next week at a special event. What is it, Craig?
Going to be the car show and the open house at the Front Range Community College. In fact, I think we're going to try to get the DIY truck out there. Beautiful old 52 Ford. Nonetheless, if you want to get an entry into the car show yourself, you need to contact Gary Crayon. That's 303-404-5381. There is no entry fee. Car show benefits the automotive section. Open houses for the entire campus.
Which, as we talked earlier during the first hour especially, the trades are a great thing. They're going to do a great work out there. I'm not going to give a lot of plugs until we get there because we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about next week. Hopefully some of the guys from the auto shop will come on air and talk about their program and what they do and so on. But college, the university scenario isn't for everybody. It could be even due to what you want to learn, could be cost, could be the amount of time you want to spend. The trades are a great thing, and we as a country have kind of had a shift towards everybody wanting to have a 4-year degree to go into to get a job, and now even you're hearing even some folks from the upper echelon, the politicians, etc., talk about how trades are actually a good thing. We need to encourage people to get a good trade, learn it. Nothing wrong with that. We had a caller call in, Dennis, the first hour, that talked about how we're losing, some of that segment of our population on an ongoing basis, and we're going to be in a world of hurt if we don't get some of that back. And I mean, I'm talking pipe fitters, welders, automotive technicians, electricians, plumbers. You go down the line, and
Absolutely.
Every one of those areas I just mentioned need people.
And you can't do that sitting at a desk.
No, you can't. So we're going to have those people in the field to make sure we get everything taken care of, because as I said earlier, all of us in this room aren't getting any younger.
Nope.
And we're not the only industry that's being affected by this. So again, great event. We'll be out there next week. If you've got a car, something you want to put in the show, Craig just gave you the info. I'll have all of that up on our Facebook page. In fact, I'm going to let Craig take the flyer before we leave today. I'll throw it up on our Facebook page. Give us a call, though. We'd love to chat with you. 303-477-5600. I say it a lot. There's no dumb question on the show. If you don't know the answer to the question, chances are somebody else doesn't either, and or you can just add to what we've already been talking about. So everybody likes to chime in. You're not the only person out there with that particular problem or thought. Call us. Let us know what it is. We'd love to hear from you. 303-477-5600. Bill is up next. Bill, welcome.
Yeah, I got a Ford I wanted to ask. Well, I got a couple of questions, actually.
Sure.
But I've got an 84 Ford 3/4 ton with a 451 in it.
Okay.
And here lately, every time I started, I've got to dump gas in the carburetor. And so I put a rebuilt kit in it, which I'm no carburetor man, but I put it in there, and it runs okay as long as I put gas in it. But if it sets a day, I got to put gas back in it.
Gentlemen?
Well, in the carburetor,
I just
yeah, in the carburetor era, it sounds like you either have an internal leak in the carburetor or your fuel pump's not holding the pressure up and it's draining back out.
Fuel pump in it when it was doing that.
How many days does it sit between starts?
Pardon me?
How often are you how often are you starting it?
If I start it within 6 or 8 hours, it'll probably start.
Okay.
And if I leave it set overnight, it's not going to start.
Got it.
And I got to give it a couple shots in the carburetor.
Got it.
So could you crank it long enough without putting fuel in it?
I've tried that, and it just, I can pump it and crank it, and but it just seems it won't even fire until I give it a little shot of. I got one of those turkey basters, and I just give a little shot in the carburetor, and it starts right up.
So you're assuming there's no gas in the carburetor because you can't.
Well, there's got to be some in there. But the bowl,
You can't see inside the float bowl. The odds are, if you rebuild it, it kind of sounds like maybe you didn't do something right, but the accelerator pump or the ports from the accelerator pump to the throat of the carburetor are plugged, something like that.
Yeah, I think the accelerator pump was the main problem. That was really the reason I rebuilt it, because it had a bunch of gunk in it.
Yeah.
And I had pulled that cover off and looked in there, and I said, okay, so I just got a rebuild kit and put a new one in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the main thing I changed. I didn't really change a lot of the... I put new gaskets in it, and everything was in the Napa kit,
Was that a Holley or a Motorcraft carburetor?
Yeah, Motorcraft, I
Probably
think.
Motorcraft.
I think it's a 2-barrel.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I had the same problem. I had a 460 in a motorhome, and it done the same thing to me. As long as Starter regular was okay, but otherwise I had but gas. I thought maybe the Ford trade or something.
Did those have, because I know GM did, and guys, you know for the Ford side better than I do, but was there a check valve in the fuel filter itself to keep fuel in the bowl and not have it run back down, or was that not the case on a Ford?
Yeah, it was. It's got to have. There's no place for the fuel to go out of the bowl.
Yeah, there's no check valve. Those either had a screw-in external filter or it had a pumice stone.
Okay.
One or the other, but it sounds like an accelerator pump or the port issue. Did you soak it really good and some good carburetor cleaner?
Yeah, well, when I had it apart, I had the carburetor out and put all the new stuff in,
Yeah, but how did you clean the carburetor parts themselves?
I didn't soak them. I just used the carburetor cleaner.
Got it. And that might be part of your problem. If you don't soak those in a good carburetor cleaner, it will not clean all those ports
you
out.
Need to soak them and wash them clean, and blow them out. Blow every little port out with air.
Yeah, and put them back together.
Yeah. I sprayed them good with the carburetor cleaner and blew them out with air, but I did not soak
spraying them with you got to soak them, and typically we used to soak them overnight because some of that gunk just would not come out of there unless you soaked it overnight.
But I had the same problem with that 460, and now with this 351. I thought, man, this is familiar.
So I'm with Dorsey. I'll bet you have a port plugged up somewhere to where you're just not getting that initial squirt that you need to get it started.
Yeah, once it starts.
Now, real quick, when it's dead in the water like that, and you take the top of the air cleaner and everything off, when you look down in and manually run the throttle, do you see any fuel being squirted down into the Venturi?
No, you can't see any coming in even.
Then there's your problem. I'm with Dorsey. I doubt the bowl is empty. In that little bit of time, the bowl's not empty. You've got an accelerator issue going on. Something's plugged up. Now, why does it run okay once it starts? Could be that it's got enough draw of vacuum to where it's overcoming some of that. I don't know.
Yeah, that old truck's got the 2 tanks on it and the separator thing. And actually, I bypassed that and just came off straight off. I was thinking.
Does it run okay once it starts and runs?
Yeah, it runs okay. Once it starts, it runs fine.
I'm wondering if the power valve just isn't sealed up right and it's just letting the bowl drain.
That could be too.
Good.
Yeah, in fact, on those, speaking of power valves, there was 2 different types of gaskets you could use on the power valve. And depending upon the kit, sometimes there were multiple gaskets that you could actually use, and maybe you've got the wrong gasket in there for the power valve.
Yeah, the only gaskets I I didn't replace all the gaskets. They looked pretty good, when I took it apart. But that big heavy spacer on the bottom, it had a little nick out of it, so I replaced it, and then one other gasket. But mostly I just put the old ones back in. They looked fine. But yeah, I don't know. That thing's been.
Thoughts, guys?
What I really want to do. I haven't driven this old Ford since about in the middle '80s, early '80s.
Okay.
And I just want to sell it to somebody that's gonna.
Got it.
It's only got a 54,000 on it. It's had a camper on it.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's no camper special.
Oh wow.
And it runs good. The upholstery's good. The body's clean. It looks really nice. It could use a paint job.
Hey, what part of town are you in, Bill?
I'm in Indian Hills.
Which is southwest. Okay, southwest. The other thing you might want to do is just run that by one of our facilities that's in that neck of the woods, Four Seasons or Geno's over in Littleton, and just have them take a real quick look at it and see if they can't figure out, maybe even just by listening, looking at it, and in this case, it doesn't sound like it's going to be very long to duplicate it. Leave it overnight and have them look at it first thing in the morning and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, but overnight, it won't start in the next morning.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
But
that's actually the best way to test it.
I haven't licensed it ever since the 80s, and so.
Got it.
And so I can't really drive it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I hear you.
I could haul it, but
I hear that.
A good experienced carburetor guy can take it apart and see if there's a misplaced part, or like Greg was saying, a power valve that isn't tight, or a wrong gasket, or something like that.
Right.
I might be wise just to pull it off in there and take it to somebody.
You could do that. That'd be fine too. Yeah, good idea.
I put the parts back in it.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Then I've got another question.
Sure, go ahead, Bill.
I've got a 51 Chevy pickup, 5-window.
Okay.
And I put a front clip out of a Camaro in it and a small block 400 in it.
Okay.
And it runs good and everything's fine, except it overheats. I'm having an overheating problem with it.
Okay.
And
What'd you use for a radiator in that? All the same stuff out of the Camaro?
Stock radiator with electric fan in it.
Probably not pushing enough air.
And that's what I'm wondering is how to get more, without really changing a lot of stuff. Would aluminum radiator help more than the old stock radiator?
If it's a big enough aluminum replacement radiator, yes. We went through this with a caller not that long ago on the show, about 3 weeks ago. And if you use the right replacement aluminum radiator, yes, it is. But it'll be much larger than the one you have now.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I'd have to remodel the whole front of that thing to put a bigger radiator in.
Exactly. And so you use the stock fans off the Camaro also on it?
Well, actually, the motor was too big, and it don't have the fan in it at all. It's just got had to put the electric fan on the front side of the radiator.
Got it. So you use an aftermarket fan on the front to push through?
The guy put it in. I'm not sure what he used on it. It's got the double fan. It's got side-by-side fans, but I can't tell you.
Got it. And that's not uncommon in that particular, not vehicle, but those types of engine swaps, what you're encountering is not that uncommon. And what we find, and Craig and I did this for many years, what you typically find is you need more radiator than you think you do. Part of it is, at our elevation also, we don't have as much air to push through the radiator as you do at sea level. So it also affects the cooling side of it.
Because of the room in the hood up over the motor, the old chair. I was wondering about putting an electric fan up in there and just let it blow down on it. I don't know if that'd do any good or not.
Well, it wouldn't do any good at all.
That's what I was thinking. It's just blowing the heat around.
We've had some Jeeps that, over the years, Craig and I have messed with many, many times and done all sorts of things that way, thinking some of that would help. And
you can take the hood off of it and it won't make
Trust us, we've been down that path. Doesn't do any good. You just need bigger fan. You need more air movement, bigger radiator.
Yeah, and I just don't know how to do that. There's no room,
And by the way, the one company that can custom make you a radiator if you want to go that route is Griffin Radiator.
What's the name again?
Griffin, Griffen.
Where are they out of?
I don't know that I can tell you. If you look them up, if you Google them, you'll find them, and they've got the ability where you can call them, tell them exactly what you want built, etc., and they'll do it all for you.
Yeah, they're probably advertised in hot rod.
They are. That's exactly right. Yep, they do a lot of hot rod stuff, etc. You got it.
Okay.
All right, Bill. Thanks so much for the call. We're up against the break. We appreciate you calling in. Jeff in Denver, hang with us. We'll be back right after these messages. Drive Radio, KLZ 560, The Source.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa. Get the good stuff.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at Gino'sAutoservice.com. That's Gino'sAutoservice.com.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
All right, welcome back, Drive Radio, KLZ 560 The Source. I'm your host, John Rush. And we've got about 40 minutes of the show left. We'd love to hear from you. Lines are open, 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. And we got a few other things we'll talk about, but let's take our next caller first. Jeff in Denver. What's going on today, Jeff?
Hi, guys. I was on your show last week at a jet ski issue.
Oh, yeah.
And they suggested that I get a hold of Craig at DIY. DIY, I'm sorry. And that was the problem. I went onto your Drive-Radio website, and it was really hard to finally find it. I found the sponsors for Napa and everything, but your individual shops was...
No, the individual shops are all on our ColoradoSelect.com website. Two different websites.
So you got to go to different.
If you go to Drive Radio and then go to the sponsor section, you can click on the link and it'll take you to Colorado Select, but everything is listed on the Colorado Select site.
I think that's what I ended up doing, but that was, like I said, it was...
Yeah, years ago it got to where we were so convoluted on the Drive Radio side of the fence that we separated it off and made two websites just so we could get all of our shops and the information and everything we do on that kind of away from what we did on the radio show.
Okay, that was a bit confusing. And when I've got Craig here, I called you guys last week and you suggested that I go to him to do an engine swap on a jet ski. Is that something his shop would be interested in?
I'd be willing to take a look at it.
Okay.
Absolutely. My phone number is 303-429-4000, if you want to jot that down.
After I found it on the website, I printed up a copy. It was just a little confusing getting it into it.
Well, obviously, I'm not at the shop right now, and I'd prefer to talk to you directly just so we can be on the same page, but I don't see any problem with giving it a shot.
I came by Monday, but unfortunately, you don't work Mondays.
I do not work Mondays.
Monday's off, right?
No Mondays.
You're closed. You're closed totally on Mondays, right?
Yes, we're open every other day of the week, but we're not there on Monday.
Because you're open basically Tuesday through Sunday.
Correct.
Okay.
So, okay, well, I got Tuesday off this week.
Got it.
I'll try to make it over there.
Sounds great, Jeff. Good luck to you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. And yeah, so those of you listening, that's why we always give out our ColoradoSelect.com website because, like I say, years ago, this has been 5-6 years ago even, we separated things around a little bit, put Drive Radio by itself, put Colorado Select on its own, and it enabled us just to do some different things for each one, kind of get rid of the convolution that we had going on back then. So yes, if you want one of our repair shops that helps sponsor our show, you can go to ColoradoSelect.com. You can go to Drive Radio too, drive-radio.com, go to our sponsor page, and everybody that's a sponsor is listed there. But again, our main sponsorship is through ColoradoSelect.com. Go there, click on it, find a shop near you. Those guys will be happy to take care of you. 303-477-5600 is our number. Call us. We'll get you right on air. We'd love to chat with you. And again, there's no dumb questions. If there's something you'd like to ask us, throw it our way. We'd love to chat. 303-477-5600. All right, guys, let's talk about I pushed the CVT transmission thing off last week. We could probably touch on that for just a minute. And I guess, first of all, and this is another thing that as we get into more YouTube and do some things, it'd be easier to show a diagram of what a CVT is versus trying to explain it. But the best way for me to explain it, and especially for some of you that have been around, machines of any kind for any length of time, a CVT is nothing more than a larger, heavier automotive version of what old mini bikes and snowmobiles today still have.
Yep.
Best way to say that, guys?
Yeah.
It uses four cones, two opposing on each end, that through centrifugal force, and again, in the automotive world, it's a lot more fancy than that because they can control it with pressures and make shift points and all sorts of things. But essentially, it's one set of cones squeezing together on another set of cones, thereby changing ratios at either end, and that's how you get all the multiple. It's really an unlimited gear ratio transmission with ultimately a final drive ratio of X, whatever they've pre-planned into it according to the cone sizes and the chain diameter. Anyways, there's all of the math that goes into that to get a final drive ratio. But not that long ago, the company called, I believe it's Jatco, Gatco, which is owned by Nissan, by the way, they're majority owned by Nissan, I should say, came up with a CVT transmission for the automobile end of things, for the automotive use. And we all know the history of this. Anytime there's a new device that comes out, it takes a little while to get the bugs worked out. So there are a lot of folks, and I'll admit it, there's a lot of technicians in our industry that think every CVT transmission ever built is junk. And a lot of them were.
Just a lot of the early Saturns.
Not going to deny that they weren't. Some were. And some early Nissans were.
I was going to say Nissan Murano had a little bit of a problem.
They were
with
too.
those.
I mean, so some of the early transmissions, because of, you know, just either being under-engineered, not knowing how everything was going to work in the real world, etc., you know, they did have some problems. So you've got a lot of technicians today that you'll go and ask, well, I'm going to buy a car with a CVT transmission, and they'll just give you this look like, you idiot. Why are you doing that? Well, let's back up a little bit. That was many years ago. In today's world, even in the last 2 to 3 years especially, first of all, CVT transmissions aren't going away. They're here to stay. And the reason I say that is because they are more fuel efficient, they're less costly to build, they weigh less, and they give the manufacturer a lot of options when it comes to, again, gear ratios, final drive, what they can actually do with the transmission. And my point is they're not going away because more and more companies are now starting to use them. So, Nissan is not the only company now using them. Toyota, mainstream, they're using them now. Honda's using them. Toyota's using them, of course. We knew the GM side of the fence with Saturn, but you're going to see more and more companies begin to start using them. And it's not to say that you're going to see a CVT in a high-end Porsche or Corvette or something like that. No, because that's not what it's designed for. It's designed for economy, being able to drive as much fuel economy out of the engine and drivetrain as possible, reducing mass, reducing weight. And the reality of today is if you went and drove one and you didn't know it had a CVT in it, and it's one of the later model ones that has shift points in it, you would know you were driving a CVT. Go drive a new Ultima, for example. You won't know you're driving a CVT transmission. Go drive one of the new Toyota Corollas with one in it. Hard to tell it's got a CVT in it. So they do sound a little different at times depending upon how hard you are on the gas pedal and how much RPM you're putting into the engine, etc. They can sound like they're over-revving, for example. They're not. They're just getting the engine RPM up, just like a snowmobile. It's the engine RPM up, everything starts to catch up, wind up, final drive ratio start to change, off you go, and that's how they work. So, are they going to be around for a while? Yes, they are. So the demise of probably a lot of technicians that think they're junk, they're not going anywhere, they're going to be around. You're going to continue to see advancements in them. If you don't like them, I'm sorry, but I don't think they're going anywhere. Guys, want to add anything to that?
Well, it was news to me in regards to the shift points that they built into them, because one of my biggest complaints with the CVT was just the feel. I just didn't like the way they felt. It didn't feel like the cars that I grew up driving.
Yeah, Toyota actually has what they call intelligent shifting CVT. So they actually build shift points in the software to where they can actually mimic it shifting like a regular transmission, even though it's still a CVT. Now, it still feels, driving it still feels different. It's not feeling like a regular transmission, but, you know, I've driven the Corolla, and the car works fantastic, CVT transmission in it, and I guess I've driven enough CVTs now that when I get in them and start driving them, you know, Chrysler's got some of the Jeeps even had CVTs, you know, some of their smaller Jeep, the Patriots, etc. You know, once you kind of get in, get used to it and start driving it, pretty soon after a couple of days, you really don't even know that's what you're driving. You just get in it and go, and it's not a big deal. So, again, it's new technology, automotive speaking, but it's not new technology.
No.
So I want to make sure I'm clear in that, because some of the guys on the motorcycle, you know, snowmobile side of the fence are going to say, John, that stuff's been around for eons. Yeah, it has. You're right. It's the same principle. How it's applied, of course, gets a lot more sophisticated when you're trying to move a 3,000 or 4,000 pound vehicle down the road versus a several hundred pound snowmobile. But the systematic approach is still the same. It's basically the same design. So, all right, we come back. We're going to talk more about fuel-saving devices. You know, are there devices out there that can truly save you money? I'll give you a little tip. The biggest thing that saves you money is at the end of your right foot. Okay, the bottom of your shoe. That can either make or break fuel economy more than anything else we'll talk about. But we'll talk more about it when we come back. If you got anything you want to add to that, let me know. Even something to add to the CVTs. If you want to add something to it, tell us we're crazy. You know what? We'll listen to it. We don't care. 303-477-5600. We're going to be back right after these messages. Drive Radio, KLZ 560 The Source.
Cleaning out the garage and cleaning up the yard means spring cleaning. Don't forget to clean up your car. Arvada West Auto sees a need in vehicles for spring maintenance after a cold, snowy winter takes its toll on your vehicle. We want to help you keep safe and your car running smoothly. Our ASE certified technicians are experts at what they do. Ask us about our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Let us and the power of Napa Auto Care keep you on the road. Call Arvada West Auto 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com, where every question is important. See you soon.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Boulder? At John's 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From big trucks to diesel pickups, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to John's 4x4. Located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd, behind Carpet 1. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at John's 4x4 Center are committed to providing the personal and professional service you're looking for. Give them a call at 303-449-2640. Check them out on the web or follow them on Facebook at johns4x4.com.
Have you ever wished there was a place you could take your car, put it on a lift, and work on it yourself? My name is Craig Wallace, owner of DIY Auto Repair Shops. We have the lift, the tools, and the expertise. We offer a multi-tier program that allows you to do it yourself, technically assisted, or we can fix it for you. Check us out online at DIYAutoRepairShops.com or give us a call at 303-429-4000. Again, that's 303-429-4000. Let us know you heard about DIY on Drive Radio, and you'll receive 50% off your first DIY hour. We look forward to helping you succeed repairing and maintaining your car.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
All right, thanks for listening to us today. We appreciate it. Give us a call. I know there's a lot of you that are out roaming around, doing whatever you need to do. There's snow coming later tonight and into tomorrow. It's not going to be near as nice tomorrow as it is today, so I'm sure there's a lot of you out trying to get things done. I know around our house that, you know, between my wife and my son and everything at home, they're all doing stuff trying to get things out of the way today, knowing that tomorrow's not going to be so great, and here I am stuck on the radio, but hey, that's the way it goes. And anyways, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you, 303-477-5600. All right, let's talk about, we talked about the CVT transmissions. We've got a half hour of the show left. I'm going to run through a few. I think I'm going to do this two different ways. So I'm going to talk about fuel-saving myths. This was a deal I got from MSN, and then we can talk about devices. So we'll just talk about the myths first of all. Now, this is one that we've talked about many different times, and I'm not going to do these in any particular order. But one of these says only fill up when the temps are cool because it only gives you a slightly negligible, you know, heavier fuel, et cetera, that helps out fuel economy. Dorsey, you've done a lot of testing on this on your own. What's your feeling on that?
You know, I like to fill up when it's cooler out, when the ground is cool and the fuel's cooler.
And one of the reasons why I agree with that also, and I don't know why they didn't put this in, being MSN and the tree hugger movement and so on, you'd think they would have been on top of this. It's actually more environmentally friendly to fill up when it's cooler than when it's hot also.
Yeah, we don't have what they call stage 2 recovery here, so
correct.
If you fill up when it's hot out, you'll see more vapor blowing out back out of your tank and into the atmosphere.
Rule of thumb is you're getting more bang for your buck when you fill up when it's cool. So that's one that I'm going to throw out and say, I don't know that that's necessarily a myth. In fact, I'm going to disagree with MSN, and I'm going to say, and we as a show are going to keep saying, if you can fill up in the mornings or in the evenings, especially as we get into our hotter days of the year, this time of year it's not as big of an issue. But if you can fill up when it's in the mornings cooler, or even later at night when it's cooler, that's going to be our suggestion to do, because we just feel like you get more bang for your buck.
And don't open the nozzle wide open either when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. Next one. This one I do agree with. A full tank, this is especially true on late model vehicles, so let me preface this. If you're driving one of the classics collectors that we talked about earlier, this doesn't apply, but late model vehicles, this applies. A full tank of fuel does not help you by stopping evaporation. And it does because it's all recovered anyways.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
No. So the myth is, I need to always have a full tank so I can get better fuel economy. That's not a big issue. In fact,
there's probably a bigger negative than there is a positive.
Because of the extra weight you're carrying around.
Yep.
Especially on big, full-size vehicles, it's probably even more of a factor than it is on some of the small vehicles. We're going to go to a call real quick, but real fast. Shifting into neutral at stoplights does not save fuel. Amen. No, it does not. You're right. In fact, it's a waste of time, waste of energy, doesn't do anything for the car. Don't do it. You're just going to make the guy behind you more mad because you're fiddling around inside the car.
Yeah, you went past neutral and hit reverse.
Just concentrate on driving. Don't worry about going into neutral at the stoplight, because no, that's not saving you any fuel. So that one is correct. We'll get into more of these in just a second. Dolores is next. Dolores, welcome. What's going on today?
Okay. I want to tell you that on Tom Martino's, are you familiar with his automotive group that meets on Friday?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody was talking about changing filters on their car.
Okay.
And they told him, said, well, make sure that you get a good filter, not a Walmart filter or a Napa filter. There is no difference in the two.
Okay.
And I just, it made me mad.
And I'm glad it did, because there is a big difference.
Well, that's what I know.
Yeah, there is. You're right. Now, I will say this, and we talked about this actually on our Haystack show on Thursday. We talked about this a little bit. There are 4 different grades of filters in the Napa line: silver, select, gold, and platinum. Now, we on this show pretty much typically tell you to use either a gold or a platinum filter, especially if you're running full synthetic and trying to get a longer interval oil change out of the vehicle. Now, I also will say that even Napa's bottom line silver filter exceeds most of what's on the shelf at all of your big box stores.
Uh-huh.
And I know that for a fact because it does.
Yeah.
So the comment about Walmart Napa being the same, that's an incorrect statement. They're not the same.
Yeah. Well,
what did they suggest was a good place to buy one?
That's what they said. They're both bad.
Yeah. Where did they say to go buy one? The dealer?
Yes.
Yeah, and here's the deal on the dealership one. They don't make their own either.
Yeah.
So if you're talking Toyota, Ford, Chrysler, and I'm not knocking the factory guys. I just had Toyota, our rep from Toyota, Randy Hunt, on last week. I love those guys. Calvin Ford from Ford comes on. I'm not knocking that side of it, but I do knock the guys that knock other products that are equivalent to what's being sold on the dealership level, and that's what you heard happening yesterday, and that's false.
Okay, let me ask you one more thing. I've got one of the little Mitsubishi Mirages with the CVC.
Yes.
And I just turned 1,000 miles on it.
Okay.
But it seems like Aurora is picking on me on their lights things.
Oh.
But I'm not going into that. But they sent me 2 offenses, and
don't pay them.
I've driven 4 other cars from the same home in the past 29 years, and I've never gotten a red light.
Our recommendation on those red light tickets is don't pay them until they serve you.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, they just sent me a second notice, which the first notice wasn't due yet.
Right. That's because they're trying to get you to pay, and if they do happen, here's the risk. If they do serve you, you're going to pay a little bit higher fine when they do come out to serve you because you have a processor and the fee and so on. But the chances of them serving you in person are slim to none.
Oh.
So our recommendation is don't pay them.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that's your call. I can't tell you what to do. This is the views expressed specifically by me, not by Drive Radio and everybody else associated with it. Me, personally, I would not pay it.
Well, that's one thing that you and Tom Martino agree on.
Okay.
But
it's because we both probably feel like they're a big scam, which they are.
I just like my little CVC, or what is CVU? What is it? CVC? the engine.
Yes.
the CBC. Yeah, it's. I still love my Ford Escort 2002. I've kept it along with that.
Yep, that's a good car.
But,
it's been a good car for
anyway,
you. Let's put it that way.
I'm glad that you knew about Tom's the remarks there.
Yeah, and by the way, those are again. I'm just being 100% honest. No car manufacturer that I know of. Now, if somebody can figure this out and tell me, I'd like to know. But I don't know of a single OEM manufacturer that builds their own air, oil, etc. filters.
Not that I'm aware of.
There are big companies out there. In fact, the company that builds Napa's filters, called Wix, builds a lot of other filters for OEMs and etc. So the chances of realistically that platinum and gold filter from Napa exceed what's coming in that vehicle from the factory in the first place. So there's nothing wrong with a Napa gold or a Napa platinum filter.
Okay. Love your show.
Thank you very much, Dolores. Appreciate the call and the question, because I'm sure other people probably thought the same thing when they heard that, and I've heard that comment in the past, and we've had other callers call in and say the same thing. So yes, just to make sure that I'm being clear on that, if you're going to do an extended oil change interval, so you're going to run full synthetic, run it as far as you can, maximize that oil change, get 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 miles out of it, depending upon the vehicle. And by the way, always follow what's inside your owner's manual. It will tell you what you can and can't do according to the oil that you're using. And in most cases, by the way, not some cases, but in most cases, late model vehicles are going to require synthetic oil. Right, guys?
Right.
Larry and I talked about this Thursday.
General Motors already does.
Larry and I talked Thursday about this. How many oils do you have to stock in your shop just to meet the demand of what's out there?
A bunch.
No longer can you do 2 or 3 oils, can you?
No.
There's a wall anymore full of oils. I know even as a fleet shop, I have one whole wall in the shop with nothing but all the different types of oils, and I know what vehicles I own, and I still have that many brands. So when you have a shop and you're trying to meet all the demands of the retail customer coming in, it's almost impossible to even have every brand that you need or every type of oil that you need on the shelf. So it's really a big deal. So
very true. Check
your owner's manual. You want to run the proper weight, all of that, the type, etc. But yes, we have stopped on this show years ago. We were probably the first show out to stop advocating 3-month, 3,000-mile oil changes. Unless you're driving a 65 Chevy or maybe an 84 Chevy, you just don't need to anymore. The reality is late model vehicles, anything that's 15 years of age and newer, which is late 90s, early 2000s, you don't need to do 3 months, 3,000 miles anymore. It's just a thing of the past. So real quick, let's take a quick break. We've got a question from Randy in Castle Rock coming up next. We'll talk about more of these fuel-saving myths. We got one more segment left. KLZ 560 The Source, Drive Radio. John Rush, your host.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-align belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff: Napa Auto Parts.
Is your car or truck reliable? Are you sure? Hi, this is Donnie Cipher for Cipher Automotive. Many times when we're performing a simple maintenance inspection, we find things that are about to break down. For our customers who perform regular maintenance, that's the key, avoiding those little things that turn into big ones. Cipher Automotive has a technical staff second to none. No repair is routine, and our techs know the latest cutting-edge techniques to ensure a reliable, long-lasting vehicle for you. Get your car checked out today. Find us at CipherAuto.com or call 303-422-5261 for Cipher Automotive.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 427-2108 for an appointment, or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Another show bites the dust. Zach's got us playing a little Queen there in the background, so bringing our intro in. Thanks, everybody, for listening. 303-477-5600 is our number, and our lines are full. If we get to all of our fuel-saving myths, great. If not, we'll just start taking calls. Let's go to Randy. Who's next? Randy, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
I had a question for you that I wanted to ask you which way might save me a little bit of money.
Sure.
I noticed there's a small oil leak in my oil pan gasket on a 99 Jeep Cherokee X-Ray.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, I called Napa about getting the oil pan. It's $109. That way I know it's good to go, and he can pop it right back up there, my mechanic. Would I save money doing it that way, or letting my mechanic spend the time that it's going to take him to clean that thing up real good so that, you get all the gasket stuff off and make sure it's nice and clean and even and go back up there, and that's going to take a little time, and I don't want to have it leak because then I got to bring it back and have it, redo it. I don't want to do that. But I just wonder what would is $109.
The question is he going to say? The question is he going to? The question, Randy, is he going to cut any labor out if you bring him a new pan?
Well, I'm going to let him get the pan because I know that they,
okay.
You guys make money on your
right.
Part.
So then the next question would be: is he going to cut you some slack on the labor because he's putting a new pan on that he's not having to scrape gasket material off of?
Well, actually, I didn't ask him. I'm just taking that into consideration.
You probably ought to ask first, because in some cases he may or may not, depending upon how they do things. It may just be, hey, a pan replacement's a pan replacement. Doesn't matter if I do a new one or an old one. I'm going to do it either way. And because the reality is, the tools we use to take the gasket material off of that pan, you can have that gasket off in less than a minute or two.
Depends on whether it's ever been replaced before or not. If it's still got the old cork-style gasket in it, yeah, they come off.
Buzz it off pretty fast.
Got to clean up my old pan really good too, because I don't want to have another leak. So I know he's going to spend time in doing that. So I wondered which one is the $109 for the pan, or the labor it takes him to clean that pan up.
Like I say, when it comes to cleaning the pan, and I don't know the technician you're using, etc., but I know for the majority of the shops in our Colorado Select group doing an oil pan gasket, you're going to use an automated tool to help you get that gasket off of there, and it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes to pull the gasket off of it. And if the pan's good and straight, there's really nothing else that has to be done. You put a gasket back on it, put everything back in place, and away you go.
Well, now that brings up another question, because I watched on a video, and he showed a guy had a big screwdriver and kind of got it off a little bit, and he had to straighten that pan. Whereas another guy I talked to at Napa said he had almost the same vehicle. He popped it a few times with a mallet hammer, and it
depends on how you. And the right way to do it would be the way popping it with a mallet or using a putty knife, so you're not having to use a screwdriver and bend the side of the pan. And again, a good technician knows those ways of doing it. No offense, the YouTube guys don't.
Right.
That's the difference. But that's the difference between watching YouTube and watching a professional technician do it.
Right. Is it maybe due for a new pan, or does that not matter?
It's not due for a pan unless there's a hole in it.
Unless the drain plug stripped.
Yeah. Craig brings up a great point. If the drain plug has any issues at all, put a new pan on. If not, I'd reuse the old pan and not worry about it.
All right. I didn't know which one would even have 109 or his labor and clean it.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to save much on the labor side of the fence to merit spending the 109.
Probably doing it on flat rate guide anyway.
Not going to matter.
So
it would make his life easier. I'm looking to save a too.
It may a little, but it's not huge. And honestly, when he gets the new pan and has to clean all of the creosote and the rest of the stuff off of it, etc., I don't know if there's any time saving one way or the other. It's just a matter of, do you want a new pan or not?
Well, I mean, of course, I'd like a new one, but
that's really all it comes down to. That'd be the only reason to do it, Randy. Other than that,
Yeah.
there's no savings, I don't think, on his end at all.
I'll just let him do the work then, I guess. That's,
Yep.
that's what he does for
I
a
think
living.
you'll be fine.
All right, thanks.
All right, Randy, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it very much. Terry is in Arvada. Welcome. What's going on, Terry?
You guys were talking about all these different kinds of oils.
Yes.
However, there's synthetic is synthetic. There's not. I don't have to worry about the brand I put in. Is that correct?
No, you just have to worry about the weight that you're using specific to the vehicle and the engine that you have.
Okay.
So in other words, if you use a Castrol, premium synthetic versus Mobil 1 versus Valvoline versus Pennzoil, no, some of that comes down to brand preference more than anything else. But if you had a Mobil 1 1030 synthetic versus Pennzoil synthetic 1030, no, you're not going to have any difference there.
And what is a synthetic? What's in that oil?
That's a great question, by the way.
Hydrocarbons.
Yeah, despite what everybody thinks, the best way to explain synthetic is it still uses some petroleum-based stock, just like every oil does, because that's what it has to have to start with. But it's controlled. It's a more controlled oil where they take and control more of the molecular structure of the oil itself versus just hydrocracking and running the other oil and producing whatever weight they need to with add packs, etc.
Yeah, every molecule in synthetic and should be the same as the next molecule. They should all be the same size.
So it has more of a man-made property to it than just the refining of the oil, producing a higher blend of oil to be used in an automotive engine with the add packs, et cetera, like you would get with a regular petroleum oil. Now, I say all that to say this. There are some very, very good, high-grade, high-quality standard oils that probably even have some synthetic properties to them, depending upon what you pick, but synthetic is always still a better choice.
And I think you like Mobil 1 the best.
I personally do, just because I feel like they were the pioneers in that industry. They really did help, kind of set the stage for everybody using synthetics today. They were one of the OEM users of choice way back when Corvettes even started coming with a synthetic oil in it. It was Mobil 1. I guess I just personally look at all of that and think, they've done it the longest. I think they've got some great chemists. Does that mean other people don't build good synthetics? Of course not, but I'm just a little partial to the Mobil 1 side of the fence.
Okay. And on my 7.3 diesel,
yes,
can I get 8,000 miles on an oil change if I'm using a good filter? And
you can get 10 out of a 7.3 if you want to.
Can you really?
Oh yes, because they got 14 quart capacity in it.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and you can run a synthetic oil in that if you want to. You don't have to. Although we found on some of our customers back on the 7.3s, you can run a 1040 synthetic diesel oil in it and actually have better luck than the 1540 standard oil.
And increase your fuel economy.
And increase fuel economy. Yep.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
You can run a synthetic 1040 diesel oil in that 7.3 and actually increase fuel economy over a standard 1540 weight oil.
1040. Okay. All right. Thanks a million, guys.
You're very welcome, Guy. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. Great question, by the way. And I think Larry just put one on hold for us. So we have a line open is all, 303-477-5600. 3 or 4 minutes left of the show is all. And back to that last comment. I want to make sure we're very specific on that. So that was for a 7.3-liter diesel Ford engine. Don't take and put 1040 oil and anything else out there. That was very specific to that caller, that engine. If they're looking to increase mileage, and that's just from Craig and I going through multiple different vehicles over the years. One customer in particular tried to maximize fuel economy to the best of the ability, and we found out that particular oil, through all of his testing, did the best for fuel economy on a 7.3, correct?
It did.
And you were firsthand with all of that.
Absolutely.
And it worked.
It worked great.
Do you remember what brand we used, by the way?
It was AMSOIL.
Okay, so it was an AMSOIL, 1040, full synthetic, diesel oil, not gas oil, diesel oil in a 7.3 diesel, and we picked up a couple miles to the gallon if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so there you go. So there's that story. So yes, now that, again, nobody else listening, or everybody else listening, shut your ears. That was for people driving 7.3 diesels only, because I wouldn't do that in some of the other diesels unless it specifies. Now, some are specifying that weight now, so again, with oil, always, always, always read the owner's manual, read what it says, follow it. It's always going to be your guide. Even if we tell you something and the manual says otherwise, Do what the manual says, because we're going off of memory on a lot of things, and we don't know every single specific engine. And by the way, you may have told us that it's a 2010, and it may be a 2011 or a 2009. And believe it or not, even 1 year change can make a difference in a lot of what we just talked about. So it's very important that you read the owner's manual for your vehicle to make sure you're doing that properly. Don't go off of what the guy at the Quick Lane Fast Lube is telling you. Read that manual, know your own vehicle, know the weight you're supposed to have, and when you get your receipt back from an oil change, make sure it matches. Right, guys?
Yep.
That's a big deal today. So I can't reiterate that enough, because that's a big, big deal. And again, the 3-month, 3,000-mile oil change thing is out the window. All right, we got a few more of these fuel-saving myths. We'll try to get through as much as we can. Changing a dirty air filter will increase fuel economy. Myth.
Probably not much.
Measurably?
It's negligible.
Negligible.
Because modern engine fuel management systems are reading the amount of air coming through, making fuel adjustments to it. So if you get a totally clogged up, plugged up air filter, you will be down on power. It's not going to really affect fuel economy much. In fact,
check engine light will be on.
You'll have other issues, exactly. So we won't go there. But is it going to help out fuel mileage? Changing an air filter doesn't help fuel mileage. That's the bottom line. Cruise control saves fuel. Not always. If you're driving up in the mountains and you're going to run cruise control, I can tell you right now, it will not save you fuel economy, because the cruise control wants to keep at a steady speed all the time. So it's going to put the pedal to the metal when it has to. That's right. And you may not need to be pedal to the metal to do what you need to do. So no, cruise control does not always save fuel economy. We've talked about this through the show. Fuel additives do not increase fuel economy. And miles per gallon drop as the vehicle ages. Not always. That's not always true. And then always do not top off the fuel tank thinking you're going to get more run, more miles in between fill-ups, because you won't. You're just hurting the EVAP system. So lastly, lowering the tailgate increases fuel economy. No, it does not. We've even proven that ourselves. So guys, thanks so much. Larry Unger, other side of the glass, Larry's Automotive. Zach Pugh, our engineer, thanks for all that you do. Dorsey Johnson, Arvada West, as always, great show. Appreciate you coming in and helping out. Craig Wallace, DIY Auto Repair Shops. Visit these guys at ColoradoSelect.com, and I say it always, if you like what you hear on the weekends, go spend your money with our Colorado Select facilities, because they're the ones that make this show happen each and every week. They put their money, their time, their effort, and everything into making sure this show happens each and every week. So if you like what you hear, go use them. Right, guys? Car show next week. Where's it going to be?
Front Range Community College. I'm going to give the address real quick, 3645 West 112th Avenue in Westminster, Colorado, 831.
Here we go. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Be out there at that event. Come see us. We'll have lots of giveaways. I'm your host, John Rush. God bless. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy, and stay warm tonight when the snow comes. Drive Radio, ALZ the Source.